this is a time where I usually like to hear some testimonies. If anybody has any testimony, please come and share. And because I know that whenever you mention or someone mentions testimonies, everybody start looking at each other. Everybody starts shrinking. All of a sudden, you don't look so big anymore because you feel like you're being put on the spot. So because of that, I will begin. And as many of you here know, if not all of you, the battle that I've been dealing with ever since I started to come this way, or back this way, from Orlando, Florida. I was on that flight. I was supposed to be on a flight from Orlando to, that would take me, this was with American Airlines, that would take me from Orlando to Philadelphia, and from Philadelphia to Lisbon. But I never got to leave Orlando at the time that the flight was scheduled to leave, which was supposed to be 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And the flight got delayed by 2 hours, and then I knew I was going to miss my connected flight to Lisbon. Then the flight got delayed again. By the time I left Orlando, it was 10 o'clock in the evening. That means 5 hours later than it was previously scheduled to leave. Right then and there, as I was at the airport, even as I was getting to the airport, I don't know, but I had this impression that something was about to happen. I didn't know what it was, but I had this impression something wasn't right, that some kind of attack was coming. And every now and then, whenever something is about to happen, I feel that way. I can sense something. Not all the time, but sometimes I can sense something is about to happen. And so when I realized that there was all that delay, and I had never experienced any such delay in my life, and I've traveled, I don't know, to so many countries, so almost 30 countries I've been to, and I've never had any problems like that. So somehow American Airlines was holding information from me. The way that I found out that American Airlines was holding information from me is when they got me on that last flight to Philadelphia, from Orlando to Philadelphia. As I mentioned, it was around 10 something. They knew that I'm not going to make it for the connected flight because it was way too late. Plus, that flight in Philadelphia, from Philadelphia to Lisbon, the last flight that they have leaves at 11 at night. Now, to get from Orlando by plane, to get from Orlando to Philadelphia, that's over 2 hours. And remember, I left there around 10. So they knew that I was going to miss the last flight to Lisbon. They knew I was going to miss it, but they said nothing to me. And the way that I found out is because after I landed in Philadelphia, and then I came out of the plane, and the airport was completely empty. There was nobody. The only people that were there were us who came out of that flight. There was nobody there. I'm like, So I became very confused, and then I said, okay, I know for sure that I missed the connected flight. What's happening to my luggages? And then that one person that was left from American Airlines was a lady, and she was supposed to be there to make sure that everybody comes out of the plane. She was the only person from American Airlines who was there, the only person. And then so I went to her and I said, listen, I'm having a problem here. I'm confused. It seems like, obviously, that I missed my connected flight from here to Lisbon. And then I gave her the information, my tickets and everything. And then she said, and when she looked at it, she said, yes, the last flight left at 11. Now it was like past 11 o'clock by the time I got there. And then I said, okay, and what do I do now? Because from here I was supposed to go to Lisbon. And she had no idea what was happening. And she said to me, well, the American airline front desk is right around the corner, just go and ask them. I said, okay. And then I went, there was nobody at the airport. And then I saw the desk, the front desk there. There was nobody there. It was like completely empty. The whole airport was empty. And then I came back and I said, there's nobody there. And then she said, okay, let me take a look at this. And she was checking things into the system, and she said, this is strange. She's never seen anything like that. I said, what's happening? She said, but at first, when she got into the system, what she was going to do, she started to check for me, when will the next flight out of Ferry leave for Lisbon. That's what she went into the system to check. And she was about to rebook me herself. She was about to do it herself. And then she was checking. She said the next flight from here to Lisbon doesn't leave until the following day at 6 o'clock in the evening. I said, so I'm going to spend a whole day here? And then she said, yes, that's the only flight that you could see. That's the earliest one that you could see in the system. So I said, okay. And then I said, okay. And where am I going to sleep? And she said, well, I'll arrange that for you. So she got back into the system to book a hotel for me because the airline was going to pay for that. And then also to rebook my flight. But when she got into that part of the system to do it, and then she was confused again. She said, well, American Airlines already scheduled everything for you. They already booked your hotel. They already booked your next flight because they knew that I was going to miss the flight. They knew I was going to, and they never said anything to me. They just, and she was so confused. She said they were not supposed to let you get on this flight because they knew you were going to miss the flight. They were not supposed to let you on this flight. They were supposed to rebook you over there, not let you to come here and then for you to find out like this. She was confused. And I was confused too because I didn't know what was going on. Now I started thinking about my check-in bags. I started thinking about them. So I had 2 carry-on small bags with me, my backpack and another bag I had with me. And then she gave me the voucher for the hotel, and she told me where to go to get. The hotel will send a shuttle. I found it, and then went to the hotel. The following day, I made sure that I got to the airport very early. I got to the airport 3.5 hours, maybe even 4 hours before my flight had to leave. And then again, I found that I was now with British Airways instead of American Airlines. So American Airlines now switched me from them to British Airways. Now originally again, American was supposed to take me to Lisbon, not British Airways. But now everything changed. They switched me to British Airways. So I went to British Airways to check in. And the lady said, I gave her my passport and my ticket and everything. And she said, oh, okay, I see you there. And then she was about to print me a new ticket because I'm now with British Airways. She was about to print me a new ticket. And then I said, wait a minute, hold on. What happened to my luggages? And she said, oh, that's a good question. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, that's a good question. So you were about to issue me a new ticket and then you had no idea what happened to my luggages? I'm thinking to myself, did an American airline told you about my luggages already? And then I said, yes, can you check for me? Because originally I was with American, but now they switched me to you. Can you check what happened to my luggages? Where are they? And then she said, okay, let me check. And then she got into the system, and then she said, oh yes, I found where your suitcases are. And then she said, now let me make sure that they get on the same flight with you. And then I'm standing there waiting, and then she did what she had to do, and then she said, okay, now your suitcases are on the same flight with you. And I said, are you sure? She said, yes. She said, we have your suitcases now, they are on the same flight with you. Now, the other thing about this flight from Philadelphia, as the other flight was going to be a direct flight from Philadelphia to Lisbon, that flight with British Airways will take me to London. And then from London, I had to wait, I think, 4 hours before the next flight to Lisbon. So, I mean, I'm like super tired, because by the time I got to the hotel the night before, it was past midnight. You know, and I'm traveling through time zones, you can imagine. I'm like super tired. By the time I got to London, I'm wondering about two things. What happened to summer, because it didn't feel like summer over there. And then I'm thinking about what happened to my sleep, because I couldn't sleep well on the flight. And I didn't have that much time to sleep on the flight either, because it was not that long of a flight from Philadelphia. It's about 6 hours, over 6 hours from Philadelphia to London. And so got to London, waited for 4 hours, and then I went, I got on the next flight to Lisbon. Got to Lisbon, then something in me didn't feel right. I felt like something was about to happen. Then after I went through the immigration in Lisbon, and then I went to collect my suitcases. Nothing came out. Strange. Then I realized that the flight didn't have any more luggages to come out. So I went to the baggage claim, and then they were checking. Even those people were confused. Even those, I'm like, everybody's like confused about what's happening. And they said, let's see where your luggages are. Oh, I think, they said, he wasn't 100% sure. He said, I think from what the system is telling me, your luggages are still in Philadelphia. And then he gave me a claim number. He took my information to let me know when I would receive the bag. So you can imagine, not sleeping well, travel, basically it took me 2 days to get here, and then traveling through times, basically, different time zones. I was super tired, super exhausted. And then I had the same clothes on my back that I had 2 days before. The same clothes I had on my back. And then, so when I got here, I had to quickly go to the store. We went to the store and get some clothes. But we didn't get a response from them 3 days later, right? Or 2 days later? Or 2 days later. And when I heard, and when Sophia told me that they said that one of the suitcases was on its way, I said, one? I checked in too. What happened to the second one? So I'm praying and hoping that it will be the most important one, because the one that has all the equipments, the most expensive one. But it was not the case. I knew that I was fighting a spiritual warfare. I knew it was a spiritual warfare. Just a moment ago, actually, we were talking right before we came up here. My dear sister here said something that kind of makes sense to me, that added to the spiritual warfare that I was sensing even before I knew that the luggage were missing, or found out that they were missing. Maybe somebody here knew I was coming, because I made a video, this was a few weeks ago before we got to Lisbon, that we were coming here to help distributing some books. you know, the enemy was trying to discourage me. Was trying to, I mean, everything the enemy could do to stop me from this happening has happened. Till today, 2 weeks later, well, tomorrow will be, no, not tomorrow, Monday, will be 2 weeks since the airline got my luggages, or that one luggage in particular. I still haven't heard anything about what's going on with it. Now remember, usually it does not take more than 5 days, according to them, to find a missing luggage. But it's been almost 2 weeks now. I still don't know the status.
It's not missed, they just didn't send it.
Yeah, it's not missed. Yeah, to be correct, yes. Because 3 days ago, I called American Airlines. I tried to call British Airways, their department claimed, but I could never get in touch with anybody. And 3 days ago, I called American and give them the same claim, baggage claim information, and then they found in the system, and they got the guy on the phone. He was nice, very nice guy, but he was confused as well. He said he doesn't understand why they're holding the suitcase still in Philadelphia. He said, yes, the system says it's in Philadelphia. Why is it still there? Even on their website, I went to their website and I entered the baggage claim number, and the status on their website says it's in Philadelphia. That's what the status says. Why is it in Philadelphia? Why is the bag in Philadelphia? And so you can imagine how frustrating this has been, but I've been trying not to think too much of it. And then as Brother Steve was sharing something with me, I want to share this. And then somebody's also sent the same thing to me. This is a letter coming from the Portuguese conference in regards to the great controversy distribution in Lisbon for the Pope's visit. It says, "Dear colleagues, once again I'm writing to you to draw your attention to an important matter. You are probably aware that during the World Youth Days of the Pope here, the book The Great Controversy was distributed by people from Europe together with some members of our churches. Some of these people belong to independent movements and also belong to their local churches that do not share all the doctrinal principles of the Seventh-day Adventist Church." Did you hear what it says? Did you hear what it says? Some of those people are from independent ministries that do not share all of the doctrinal principles of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Now remember, Sister White says that the book Great Controversy must be presented to the people. We have to do aggressive evangelism with that book, like the Leaves of Autumn, right? And I was sharing earlier that is going by the policies of the General Conference. See, the policies of the General Conference now said we're not supposed to say anything about the Pope. That's the policies there. Especially I'm 100% sure, if we were distributing, and the others who were out as well, if we were distributing the book The Great Hope, there wouldn't be any problems with it. There wouldn't be any problems with it if we were distributing the book The Great Hope, because that's what, or The Great Hopes, that's what the General Conference has given to Seventh Adventists to do evangelism with. Not the book Great Controversy, which, by the way, if you don't know, the book The Great Hope, it's supposed to be the Great Controversy, but there's no controversy in it, really. There's no controversy. They remove everything that has to do with Catholicism, with the men of sin. It's a huge watered down version of it. When you read that, it sounds just like an evangelical book. It doesn't sound like a Protestant book. Whereas the book Great Controversy is a Protestant book. You understand? That means the protest against Rome must continue. But again, they wouldn't have any issue with that if this was the case. But as it happened before, in England, in Scotland, when the AmazingWord Ministries was there doing similar campaign, the Scotland Conference wrote an article against me. The North England Conference wrote an article against me because we made a video that we were going to pass out the book Great Controversy. And when they come out like this, you know, saying to Adventists that, oh, some of those individuals do not share all the doctrinal principles of the Seventh Adventist Church. What all doctrinal principles that they are talking about? We're not together with Rome, is that what it is? Let's continue to read. They said the video of this distribution was made and is on social media. It has come to my attention that some people intend to pass on this video in several churches since this distribution took place outside the scope of the union's action plan and its knowledge. Meaning, we did not give them authorization or permission to do that campaign. That's what they're saying. It took place outside. In other words, they are saying we have to have permission from them first before we do anything. Do you need permission from men?
But they knew.
Yeah, they knew about the Pope coming.
They knew.
Yes, that's what I was about to say. They knew about the Pope coming. Did they plan to do evangelistic outreach? No. But they are attacking anyone who dare come out and to do the work that they have failed to do. This is why Spirit of Prophecy tells us that the regular line have failed to do the work that God has called it to do. And so therefore we need to hear less of the regular line and more of the irregular line, because the irregular line, I'm quoting now, because the irregular line is after God's order. And what does that mean? The regular line she's referring to is the General Conference. The irregular lines are those that they call independent ministries that are doing the work in a self-supported way. Let me finish the quote here. And then it says, again, they said, it has come to my attention that some people intend to pass on this video in several churches. Since this distribution took place outside the scope of the union's action plan and its knowledge, it makes no sense for this video to be played in our churches. I therefore ask you to take care of this situation together with the communication officers of your churches. I wish you all God's best blessings. In other words, let's keep the members dumbed down. Don't get them excited about evangelism. Don't play any such videos to them that shows the work that we must be doing right now. No, don't play those videos to them. Let them stay dumb, condition their mind to be spiritually dumb, to remain spiritually dumb, and so that they can also remain in the city and continue to return their tithes and offerings. They don't want the members to understand present truth for this time. They do not want the members to see and to know what they must do right now. They do not want the members to understand that Jesus says, regardless of what you see taking place in our world, I'm referring to Matthew 24, regardless of what you see taking place in our world today, those things, yes, will take place. They will increase. But the end will not come until we actively do the work that needs to be done. And what is that work? He mentioned that in Matthew 24:14. What does it say there again? And don't look at me and don't turn to your Bible. This gospel of the kingdom shall be preached unto all the world as a witness, then shall the end come. Then shall the end come. Meaning we have to engage, we have to do aggressive evangelism. But just like ancient Phariseeism, the people were dumbed down by the leadership. They did not even understood that they were living, they didn't even understand rather, that they were living in the presence of Jesus Christ, the Messiah himself, when he came into the scene. That's how bad it was. And they had the scriptures to know this. This is why Jesus said to them, an evil and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, there shall no sign be given except the sign of the prophet Jonah. Meaning Jesus is saying, you should have known that this is me, because the prophets from Moses to Malachi, they prophesied of me. You should have known the time that you are living in right now.
Jesus would have received that letter. If Jesus was here, he would have received that letter.
Oh, yeah. I understand what you say. Yeah. If Jesus was here today, yes, they would have wrote the same letter against him or about him. Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Outside their plans.
Yeah, because everything Jesus said, case in point to what you were saying, they were saying to Christ, just like they said to John the Baptist, who gave you the authority to do this work? Huh? Did we give you the authority? That's when Jesus said, that before he answered their question, he said, I will also ask you a question. Then if you answer me, I'll answer your question. The baptism of John, was it of God or of men? Remember that? The baptism of John, was it of God or of men? Now remember, they rejected the ministry of John the Baptist. And John the Baptist was working independently. They rejected it. That's why Christ referred them to the ministry of John the Baptist. And Jesus acknowledged the ministry of John the Baptist, that it was of God, to prepare the way of the Lord. So likewise, it will never be the general conference preparing the members for the second coming of Jesus Christ. That's not going to happen. As a matter of fact, there's a passage where Spirit of Prophecy says that God has bypassed the leadership and now is calling for the common people, you and I, the common people, to finish the work. God, the same way he bypassed. Now when she said that, she was not referring to ancient Israel. She was, yes, God did that back then. God bypassed ancient Israel and then called the common people the fishermen. But she says, in our days, God did not call God will bypass our leadership, the Seventh Adventist leadership. And there was also another vision where she said a time came when there was a crisis came, and then there was no Seventh Adventist to be found. She said there was no Seventh Adventist to be found, and then came a time of peace, a little time of respite, she says. And then during that little time, the Adventists started to come out here and there, and then there was no leadership. The leaders were nowhere to be found, she says. The leaders were nowhere to be found. And then those members now picked up and started to make the call for leadership on their own. Meaning, what she was explaining is that the structure will crumble. They will fall. Just like the structure fell in AD 40. Just like the structure fell, it will happen again in our days. And so they telling the members, this is nothing new, because I read a letter similar to that they wrote against AmazingWord Ministries in England, also in Scotland. They did the same thing, because they do not want anything to do with the book Great Controversy. Another point, the reason why they write these types of letters, whenever any group of Seventh Adventists or individual goes out and pass out the book Great Controversy, the reason why they write these letters, it's them making it public to let the papacy know it's not us. It's not us doing this, it's them. That's this offshoot over there. It's not us. That's what they're doing without saying it. And when they do that, when the Pope read that letter, because they make these things public, or if it's a video in that case, when the Pope sees that video, and then the Pope now say, oh, okay, all right, so it wasn't them. And then the Pope will come after those independent groups. That's probably what happened to my suitcase. And so that's what we're facing today. The enemy from within. Enemy will do anything that God would allow him to do to discourage us, to stop us from doing this work. But this is why we have to persevere, and this is why Jesus says, from among yourselves, or Paul says, from among yourselves shall grievous wolves arise, not sparing the flock. From among yourself, your worst enemies will rise up. But let us keep our eyes fixed on Jesus Christ.